A pleasant day to everyone, especially to our professor, Mr. Jomar Redubla. Our topic for today is gender, sexuality, and media. So what is gender, sexuality, and media? Let's define them individually. Gender. Refers to the characteristic of women, men, girl, and boy that are socially constructed. It is also how your identity relates to society, ideas of what it means to be a woman, men, neither are a mix of many genders. For most people, their gender match up with the cultural expectation of the sex that were assigned at birth. Sexuality. It is the way people experience and express themselves sexuality. Sexuality is about your sexual feelings, thoughts, attractions, and behaviors toward other people. You can find other people physically, sexually, or emotionally attractive, and all those things are a part of your sexuality. Sexuality is diverse and personal, and it is an important part of who you are. We have 6 professional personnel. First, Judith Lorber, the author of Believing is Seeing. Western ideology takes biology as the cause, and behavior and social status as the effects, and then proceed to construct biological dichotomies to justify the naturalness of gendered behavior and gender social status. In my explanation, if you see something yourself, you will believe it to exist or be true, despite the fact that it is extremely unusual or unexpected. Susan Bordo, Feminist Western Culture and the Body from Unbearable Weight. Unbearable Weight is brilliant from an immersively knowledgeable feminist perspective. In engaging jargon-less prose, Bordo analyzes a whole range of issues connected to the body weight and weight loss, exercise, media image, movies, advertising, anorexia, and bulimia, and much more, in a way that makes sense of our current social landscape. Finally, this is a great book for anyone who wonders why women magazines are always described delicious food as sinful, and why there's a cake called Death by Chocolate. Love it. Catapolit, national columnist and author of Subject to Debate, Sense and Dissent on Women, Politics, and Culture. Susan Bordo untangled the myth, ideologies, and the pathologies of the modern female body. Bordo explored our torture, fascinate with food, hunger, desire, and control itself, effects on women's self. Sandra Lee Barkey, Femininity, Foucault, and the Modernization of Patriarchal Power from Femininity and Domination. In a striking critique of modern society, Michael Foucault has argued that the rise of parliamentary institution and of new concept of political liberty was accompanied by darker counter-movement, by the emergence of a new and unprecedented discipline directed against the body. Required of the body now that mere political allegiance are the appropriate of the product of its labor. The new discipline invades the body and seeks to regulate its very force and operate the economy and efficiency of its movement. Feminism. Sandra Lee Barkey wrote an article, Foucault, Femininity and Modernization of Patriarchal Power in 1988. Did society accept norms for women's body and behavior, and make the point that women are often judged for their size and shape because their body reflects their personality.
This is the end of our report. Thank you so much and have a nice day.
Media is the plural form of medium which, broadly speaking, describe any channel of communication. David Gauntlet, Michelle Foucault, Discourse and Lifestyle from Media, Gender, and Identity. Discourse and Lifestyle, the study of Foucault's thought, is made additionally difficult because his ideas develop and change over time. This means that it's best to understand his ideas as different but related bodies of thought associated with each of his different major publications. Thus, the Foucault who wrote Madness and Civilization 1961 in France did not have quite the same set of ideas as the Foucault who wrote the Archaeology of Knowledge 1969 originally, and the Foucault who wrote the History of Sexuality 1976 to 84 was thinking something rather different again. It's important to know this or else you get confused by people talking about an era of Foucault that's different to the one you just been thinking about. Of course, there's nothing wrong with Foucault changing his approach in a 1982 interview. He remarked that when people say, "Well, you thought this a few years ago." So Foucault adopted the term discourse to denote a historical contingent social system that produced knowledge and meaning. He notes that discourse is distinctly material in effect, producing what he calls practice that systematically form the objects of which they speak. Michelle Foucault, we others Victorians from the history of sexuality. Foucault began his study by recounting and challenging a common narrative about the role of sexuality in Western culture. According to this narrative, society shifted from frankness and freedom regarding sex in the 17th century to outright repression in the 19th. We other Victorians, Foucault discussed the widespread belief that West European culture has for centuries been a subject of imposed sexual ignorance, taboos, and social laws. Cheremolaga, a long line of Vedidas. If somebody would have asked me when I was a teenager what it means to be Chicana, I would probably have listed the grievances than me. When my sister and I were 15 and 14 respectively, and my brother, a few years older, we were still waiting on him. I write, whereas if now, nearly 2 decades later, it were over. But that would be a lie to this day in my mother's home. My brother and father are waited on, including by me. I do this out of respect for my mother and her wishes. In those early years, however, it was mainly in relation to my brother that I resented providing such service. For unlike my father, who sometimes worked as much as 17 hours a week to feed my face every day, the only thing that earned my brother my servitude was his maleness. In Sierra Moraga's Loving in the Warriors, the chapter entitled From a Long Line of Bandidas teaches that patriarchal society negatively influenced the way women feel about themselves, influencing the way women relate to each other.